Hello everyone and welcome into the channel. My name is Unchallenged and in today's video we're going to go ahead and be diving into Turtle World of Warcraft add-ons. So whether you're a pretty chill softcore adventure or living life on the edge as a hardcore player, you're going to want to have a few of these different add-ons. These are different tools that I personally use to make my gameplay a lot smoother, smarter, and in most cases just survivable. So I'm going to go ahead and break down all of the add-ons that I use, where you can get additional add-ons, and then my top 10 add-ons that you could potentially add to your own World of Warcraft add-ons directory. So with that said, if you guys are brand new here, definitely go down below, give this video a big old thumbs up, subscribe, and let's go ahead and get into the video. So really quickly, I'm going to have a link down in the pinned comment down below that's going to have a link to the add-ons website. So a lot of you guys out there may not use add-ons for Turtle WoW or just WoW in general, but there are hundreds of add-ons alphabetically on here. And all you need to do is just do Control F to find and then look for a specific add-on that could be beneficial to you. Here they have some recommended add-ons such as PfQuest, which is the add-on that helps you with questing. And they have others such as role-playing, AI voice, level zone, map, and all of that fun stuff. Now we're going to go ahead and showcase some of my favorite add-ons. So here I am within the game. You can see that my UI is pretty clean for the most part. I'll go ahead and cover the add-ons that I specifically use, and then my top 10 real quick. Okay, so really quickly, I went ahead and took a quick snapshot of all of my add-ons. While I don't use them all, I do use a great deal of them, and I have used others in the past. So starting off with number 1, we had the advanced trade skill window. This has actually been implemented almost the same into Turtle WoW. So I'm going to go quickly over each, and then we'll dive into just the specifics of my top 10. If you guys would like a deeper dive into specific ones that I'm familiar with that I use, then you guys can leave me a comment down below. I'm not too familiar with ones that I don't use a whole lot of, but if you do have a question on a specific one, you can drop it down below. Okay, so advanced trade skill windows. This was used to queue up different abilities or like skills in my talent tree. That could be very useful. So if I was trying to queue up to make bolt bandages out of silk, out of mage weave, out of rune cloth, I could queue them all up and then just wait for each one to finish and just with one tap continue on to the next queue. But it's still a pretty good one. I kind of keep it there. Atlas and Atlas Loot, Atlas Quest are kind of all one unit. Anytime in the open world, if I want to take a look at a specific dungeon or look for specific raid loot, I can have access to Atlas Loot. Atlas allows me to dive deeper into specific dungeons and maps, have maps to those specific dungeons. That's my number 1 recommended one. A lot of the times if players are working their way from 1 to 60 and there's a group forming, you might want to look ahead to see if there's any specific loot that drops within that dungeon that would be beneficial for you. I use also a few automatic ones. These are pretty much required for other add-ons that I use. Ox is the auction house add-on, which allows you to quickly search and find and buy items from the auction house. I don't use this one as I mostly play hardcore, but it's still a recommended add-on for a lot of players. Bagnon would be my second. You need to have these type of add-ons, as this one in game allows all of your add-ons or all of your bags to become one. So here I can hit B and every single one of my bags that I have down below become a single bag that I can see and organize all of my consumables down towards the bottom that are my long-term stuff, and all my quest related items are up top near the top, and anytime I would gain a new item it would just drop into the queue up above, right? So that's a very nice one. Kind of going back to Atlas Loot, here I can click on Atlas Loot Advance, and here I can go ahead and drop this and look for specific dungeons or raids. If I wanted to look what drops inside Stratham and from what boss, I could go ahead and get that information from that. So really quickly wanted to dive into that before I get too far ahead. We had BankItems, so this is my top 3. This just allows me to see all the banks items that I have within my character. So anytime I can do a /BI and pull up the bank and what I have in the bank. So this could be useful if I'm traveling somewhere and I don't know if I left something just in my bag or if it's in my bank. Did I toss it in my bank? Do I have that specific item already? I'm in the middle of the raid and I'm trying to decide, do I already have a specific item or weapon that, have I collected it already? Then bank, being able to access your bank at any time is pretty useful. Also, I can go to other banks and take a look at what they have in their bank system as well. So I can kind of click through, like, oh, does my paladin have that specific weapon? And then, if they do have it, great. If they don't have it, then, then I could maybe queue up for that specific raid or something like that. So that is the bank items. Better character stats, super useful one. I like this one for a lot of the casters, but it works well with physical, like ranged guys, melee guys here. I can go in here and I can check out my damage against bosses. So I could go ranged and I can see that my attack power is 944, my hit rating is 6, my crit rating is 20.1, and I could also take a look at my defenses. So here I could take a look at how much dodge I have, my parry, my block. If I was a healer, I can go into spell and take a look at how much healing I have here, my mana regen, my crit rate on my healing. So all very useful stats to know within the character sheet. Then we have Cartographer. This just allows me to openly go around the world that I haven't explored and see the world maps pretty easy without having been there before. Decursive, if I was a caster, or decursor, right? It would notify me on my screen that somebody is poisoned. I could just click it and it would decurse them, remove it, undisease them. Dracaris and Dracaris Auto are add-ons here that turn I have the gold dragon here, and I could always turn it to something else. I could go like Dracaris 2 or Dracaris 1. Let's see here. Dracaris 1 is the rare dragon. Dracaris 2, I think, is the gray, a little bit more rare. And then the 3 is the elite. I don't see much difference in the 2 and the 1, but I guess there is a difference there. But I generally like to have the 3. So I just ran a additional script there that just turns on Dracaris 3 for me automatically. Druid mana bar, if you're a druid and you want to have access to your mana, that's a useful one. Fizz, Hunter, Helpers. If I'm a hunter, if I'm getting, I want to see what specific animals have specific abilities. This is useful for that. Bond's Appraiser. If I'm running a lot of dungeon runs and I want to see how much gold I'm collecting on that run, I'll run my appraisal. Nameplates is not working, so I don't keep track of that one too much. On the next list, Global Friends list. I play mostly hardcore, so I'd like to have a global friends list where I can keep track of all my friends. If a friend's not on my list, that means that they died. And, it happens quite often on my friends list. Hardcore deaths, hardcore quests are two very useful ones if you're playing hardcore. I guess these three would be useful if you're playing hardcore. So up near the top, these are pretty useful. Whoop, gotta go into this one. So if you're playing hardcore, you would want to have these specific ones. Something to keep track of your global friends on hardcore setting. Hardcore deaths notify you when a hardcore player dies. Hardcore quest lets you know of difficult quests that you might be accepting. It will give you a little pop-up at the top of the quest log as you go to accept the quest or not. Healcomm, if you're a healer, this will announce to other players that have Healcomm how much you're healing that specific player for. It really works really well to kind of make sure you're not overlapping heals and raid settings. Hunter Swiss Knife, I think this is just an auto shot one. I don't use this one too often, but I do use an additional Hunter one. Instance timers to keep track of my timers for instances. As of a new update on Turtle WoW, instances like dungeons are separate now from raids, so that's pretty good. We have a threat meter, so if I'm not in a raid and I have my pet, I can go ahead and use a different threat meter. Where is that command? Oh, here, KTM GUI show. So sometimes I always forget what the command is for this, but for example, I have a mob up ahead and I want to keep track of my threat. Because I'm not in a party, I wouldn't be able to see my threat on a specific target, but with KTM, I could then kind of keep track of my pet's threat and my own individual threat. So this is pretty useful for warlocks and hunters. that while I'm not always partying, I want to keep track of how much threat my pet is generating. That way I'm not pulling aggro off a mob within like a dungeon that I'm kind of running solo or something like that. So it is pretty useful for those instances. And then jumping over back, we have, let's see here, nameplates. This is just a pretty nice nameplate. So if I go ahead and sting on something, I don't think I even have sting on my bar. There we go. I could see the timer on it. So here's a little nameplate and it shows the cooldown above the head of the target. And I could go ahead and do different targets here and it'll add those specific nameplates above the target. So it's pretty nice for that. I don't think that's going to do anything different. But unlike paladins and stuff like that, it keeps a really good idea, or like good track of my judgments. I use it pretty often on my judgments on my paladin. Let's see here. We had Milk Scroll Battle text. That was a very useful one as well. I really enjoy kind of seeing the text on the side over here. So I can see how often I'm creating as it exaggerates it in a big old yellow bold letters here. How often I'm creating on these attacks. I can kind of just see the scrolling text here versus having to come down here, look at my combat log to see how much I'm hitting for. This will really kind of showcase how much damage I'm doing. Just pretty easy on the side. Okay, so jumping into the next one, let's go ahead and take a look here. We have Luna frames. I'm not using this one on this character, but it's a pretty useful one to have. We'll go meta maps as well. Meta maps ties in with Vanilla Guide. It just kind of puts up buttons, or like, what's it called? Descriptions around the map for me. We already covered that one. Okay, mob stats. If I hover over a specific mob, it'll tell me the stats of that mob. Mobs to level. If I'm just grinding a character, just killing mobs, it's nice to have how many more mobs I would need to take out within a certain area in order to level. Open clams. If I'm doing a lot of fishing, I'll have this add-on turned on. Anytime I open up loot a clam, it'll automatically open it for me, so it's not taking up a whole bunch of inventory space. Just open, just having clams in my inventory. Outfitter, depending on the gear, if I want to do a gear swap, that is very useful. Not so much on hunters, but it is still pretty useful. So I do want to kind of showcase this a bit. I'm gonna head over to my bank. I don't know if I have other outfits. Yeah, I have my birthday suit. So there we go. I can quickly swap into the birthday suit that is available on here, or I can go back into my world set, or I have my beast, my raid gear. So it just really depends on what type of gear I want to have as a paladin or druid, where you have multiple sets. It is very useful for being able to swap between protection, between retribution, between damage dealing or range, right? It's very useful in those steps. And then Pulsal, if I was playing normal, Pulsal is useful for, if you buy stuff out of the auction house, a lot of it, you could then access it really quickly from your mailbox. Jumping into the next, we have quest history. Just keeps track of all the quests that I've completed. Quick heal is very useful in dungeons or spot healing during raids if you're not focused on a specific tank. Quick heal is nice to be able to quickly heal the raid just with flash heals or across all different classes. Pretty nice for that. Use it, don't use it during intensive fights, but it's very usable during just chill activities like raid healing, right? Shield left does not work. I'm going to remove this one. We also have swing timer. So if I was playing a early on hunter, warrior, rogue, paladin, swing timer, keep track of your swings. Super macro allows me to create crazy macros much longer than expected. System chat. This is another one I'll probably delete. It's no longer needed. So these are two that I'm going to get rid of. Tank Buddy, it notifies the group raid that I missed a specific taunt, that something did not got resisted, that I use a specific ability, so it's very useful for that. Vanilla Guide, everyone knows Vanilla Guide. Unitscan notifies me if there's an elite in the area that is very dangerous. On a hardcore setting, this is extremely useful for being notified if there's devil swords nearby or anything of threat. So this is definitely on my top 8 abilities. So if I were in Ungoro Crater right now, this would probably be showcased as to, be cautious of devil swords, work around self-cast as any caster that self-buffs I don't want to have to target myself all the time. This helps me just not have to target, or gets me off my mount really quickly just by tapping a button that would soft cast onto me, kind of dismount me easy. Wowhead. Now, Wowhead DB, when I'm looking at a specific quest, if it is for a quest that has information from Wowhead, it'll add additional comments down here as to what players have said from Wowhead in the past. So if there's a specific quest, it'll say comments. After returning this quest, you're allowed to choose between 2 rings, and that gives you a link to those specific rings, right? And then the final quest, it kind of leads to the hero's reward. So it just kind of gives me additional comments. We then have the fast quest. I use this one with my son to be notified back and forth of our progression on our quest. PfQuest is number 9 in terms of recommended add-ons, as this tells you where you need to go on the map to do that specific quest. It's extremely useful on Turtle WoW. So if I go to my map here and I click on a specific quest, let's go to Burning Rock, and I click on show, it'll show me all of the quests that I haven't completed with an exclamation mark. If I need to collect something, it'll have a little pouch there where I need to collect an item from that person. So it's very useful for just knowing where to go, where to get specific quests that I haven't either completed, all around the map. Very useful add-on, basically, top 10. Bam, if I get a new crit that is like a new high, it'll announce like, bam, crit 901, right? That's a new high. ShaguTweaks, useful for notifying me of specific things that I'm looking for in chat, whether it's in party, raid, or world chat, looking for trades, right? Shagu inventory, this one is very useful as I can hover over a specific item and I can see how many of a specific item I have on myself or my other characters. So on myself, I have 88 of these lobsters on me, and I have 127 in my bank. So I have a total of 215 of these lobsters. Now these lobsters are very useful for me because if my pet is hungry, I can just go ahead and feed them and it helps them out. Plus I can fish these up from Hydro, so it is useful for that. So that is Bagnon. I can also kind of scroll through and see, if I have any other specific things on my other characters. So if my other character has, fashion coins, right? Undying 2 has, I'm Undying 2. So Undying 1 has 43 on him. Undying 3 has 15 on them. So they have a ton of fashion coins on them in general. Okay, so that is the Shagu inventory. Pizza World buffs just notifies me if every time the Onyxia head has been dropped in the world or the Nefarian head. TW threat is the Turtle WoW threat meter, very useful in raids. We have Big Wigs is another one for raid setting as well. Shagu DPS, kind of monitor your DPS, your damage, your healing. And then the final top 10 is ShaguTweaks. Now this one right here is how I'm able to kind of keep my UI very clean. I can go here to the advanced options. I can set up auto dismount, so I can automatically dismount whenever I cast a spell, making it very useful. So if I'm on my Frost Saber, any mount, and I'm just kind of running around, and I see an enemy that I want to tag, I can quickly just hit forward or whatever and just get into combat, dismount right away, and not have to go up to the top and either click off my add-on, click off the mount or click on the mount itself to dismount. Let's take a quick look here. And what other tweaks we got in here? There's a ton of tweaks in here. You guys can pause this video and take a look at here. I have the darkened UI. I can hide the griffins, which kind of squeezes my UI in a little bit. I can have chat have different colors, so when people are talking in chat, if the known one, so if I click on this one, Night Piercer, I can see that he's a hunter. So if he were to talk again in the chat, we would, I would see this color. So here's a warrior, here's a hunter in my chat, in my guild chat. So any of the known classes that you've either partied with or you shift click on them, it will give you going forward their class color, social colors, right? Anybody in the guild, anybody in friends, anybody in chat, it'll kind of showcase that your friends are of a different color within your friends list and in the chat. Let's see here. We have the item rarity border. So if a specific item is blue right around the border, that means that it's a blue item. If it's gold, purple around the corner, it'll tell you that it's an epic. So that's a nice little thing there. It'll show you the junk values. So I can sell these shoulders for 4 gold. I could sell these gloves for 2 gold. So it kind of gives you vendor prices as well. Let's see here. I don't turn on the options down here, but I do turn on the options for the map, the mini map. I do have to organize this a bit. Here you can see my fonts appraisers. So on an hourly session, during my last session, I made 100 gold. I think I was running I was running Mara. So I did 5 Mara runs. My most valuable item was the axe, which times 4. I got almost, a little over 17 gold for that. And then I had other items that I sold within there. So it kind of keeps track of all of that. So yeah, that is it. All of it in a handbasket. If you guys have any other specific questions on add-ons that I use, you guys can drop it in the comment down below. But I did have a couple of requests for what add-ons do I use. I kind of keep everything kind of well organized. And that is the full list right there. So hopefully that helped you guys out. If it did, definitely go down below and drop a comment. Give this video a big old thumbs up. Subscribe if you guys enjoy World of Warcraft content. And we stream here on Monday through Friday, some World of Warcraft hardcore mode. So definitely stay tuned for all of that. So that is it from me. Thank you all for tuning in. Catch you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.